The film begins with a couple, Sasha and her husband Tommy, who are addicted to drugs, but at the same time, both of them are passionate about climbing huge mountains. That's why today they have come to climb Norway's Troll Wall, a climb they have attempted many times before. But Troll Wall is no ordinary cliff, it stands like a completely vertical wall, and climbing it is extremely difficult for anyone. Now, because of Sasha's determination, the two of them begin climbing the mountain. After some time, Sasha reaches the point beyond which she has never been able to go before. But even after trying several times, she still fails to cross that wall today as well. Meanwhile, Tommy tells her to stop for the day, get some rest, and try again tomorrow morning. But Sasha wants to achieve this milestone today itself. After repeatedly trying, she becomes completely exhausted, and that's when they realize that a storm is approaching. The two of them set up their hanging tent right there and begin resting inside it. However, Tommy is feeling uneasy because his compass is not working properly, the same compass that he considers his lucky charm. As the storm grows even stronger, Tommy convinces Sasha that they should climb back down and try again once the weather gets better. Climbing down in the darkness of night was already dangerous, and then suddenly an avalanche crashes down from above, sending rocks and snow raining off the mountain. Now, in order to save Sasha, Tommy pushes her behind a rock for cover. Sasha survives, but a rock strikes Tommy directly in the head, and he begins dangling down the cliff along with the rope. The other end of the rope was tied to Sasha, and because of Tommy's weight, the hook anchored into the rock slowly starts slipping out. Since Tommy had already died from the impact of the rock, Sasha has no other choice but to let go of the rope, and Tommy disappears into the depths below. Somehow, Sasha manages to cling to the cliff and save her own life. Anyway, 5 months pass. Sasha has now returned to her country, but the pain of that night still hasn't left her heart. She constantly feels that Tommy is gone because of her obsession with completing the climb. Tommy's lucky compass is now with Sasha. Now Sasha decides to travel to Australia's Wundara National Park. But when she arrives there, a ranger warns her that many people have disappeared in this place before. She also notices photographs on the wall of those who entered the forest and never returned. No matter what, Sasha is determined to go inside. So, the ranger writes down her name and address before letting her enter. After leaving from there, Sasha stops at a gas station store, where two hunters start bothering her. Just then, a guy named Ben arrives there, selling dried meat. He shuts the hunters up, and they eventually leave. Sasha thanks Ben and buys a packet of dried meat from him. After sitting in her car, she realizes that the GPS is not working and the map is impossible to understand. At that moment, Ben comes over. Sasha points to a place on the map called Grand Eye Narrows, a location deep within the dense forests. Ben explains that there are two ways to get there, one easy route and one difficult route. The difficult path has incredibly beautiful views. So, without thinking twice, Sasha chooses the harder route. The trail begins near a bay. Sasha manages to reach the spot, but since it has already become night, she sets up camp there. However, those same two hunters suddenly show up again. Sasha immediately realizes that their intentions are not good, so she locks herself inside the car and keeps pepper spray in her hand. But the hunters never actually come near her, and after some time, they leave. Eventually, Sasha falls asleep for a while inside the car. As soon as morning arrives, Sasha unloads her boat and sets off through the water route. The scenery there is absolutely breathtaking. After a long journey, Sasha finally reaches the shore, where she finds belongings left behind by the people who had gone missing. Since Sasha is exhausted, she decides to stay there for a while. She dries her wet clothes, eats the dried meat she bought from Ben, and then falls asleep inside her tent. The next morning, she wakes up because of noises outside. When she steps out, she realizes that her bag is missing. Someone had stolen it during the night. On top of that, a snake had somehow crawled into her tent. Luckily, she got out in time before anything happened. After this, she once again continues forward in her boat. A little farther ahead, she spots another boat near the shore. When she goes there, she discovers that it's Ben's camp. Seeing Ben gives Sasha a sense of relief. She tells him that all her belongings were stolen. Ben says that it was probably the work of some animal. He cooks fish for her and explains that he is not actually from Australia. According to him, his mother brought him there when he was a child, and since then, he has lived there ever since. Then Ben suddenly asks, "You love climbing mountains, so what are you doing here?" Hearing this, Sasha is shocked, but she doesn't ask him how he knows that about her. Ben keeps saying strange things. Then Sasha tells him that those hunters had returned near her camp during the night. Ben replies, "Yeah, but you handled them very smartly." Hearing this sends chills down Sasha's spine. Then Ben reveals the truth. He intentionally showed Sasha that route, and he has been following her from the very beginning. Sasha immediately realizes that Ben must have been the one who stole her bag as well. At that moment, Ben himself places the bag in front of her. Sasha notices that Ben is wearing her bracelet. She understands that she needs to get out of there as fast as possible, But then, Ben brings out a crossbow and a speaker and in a cold tone says, "I hunt humans. I'm giving you a chance. I'll play a song, and as long as the song keeps playing, you can run. But the moment the music stops, I'll start hunting you." He also tells her that he has her phone, and all her important belongings are inside the bag. As soon as the song begins, Sasha grabs the bag and escapes through the water in her boat. But in panic, she falls down a waterfall and loses the boat. After that, she drags herself out of the water and starts running through the jungle on foot. But then, from a distance, Sasha hears the voices of a family. A spark of hope rises inside her. However, when she climbs up, she finds one of Ben's phones lying there with a recording playing on it. In the recording, a family is happily enjoying themselves. Ben had first befriended them, and then murdered every single one of them. In reality, it was all a trap created by Ben to lure Sasha in. Ben fires an arrow at her, but Sasha narrowly escapes and starts running again. While fleeing, one of the arrows strikes her in the leg, leaving it badly wounded and covered in blood. She falls into the river, and her head gets injured as well, but somehow, she manages to crawl back to the shore. There, the first thing she does is change out of her wet clothes. Completely exhausted, she eats something for energy and starts running again, because Ben is still hunting her. He knows every inch of this forest. While running, Sasha eventually reaches a dead end. But between the rocks, she notices a narrow crack. She squeezes through it and climbs upward, where she uses binoculars to look at Ben's camp. His boat is still there. At the same time, she realizes that Ben is getting dangerously close. So, she quickly climbs back down through the crack and hides behind a rock. Ben comes up and looks through the narrow opening, but since he cannot see anything, he eventually leaves the area. As soon as Ben leaves, Sasha climbs back up and heads straight to his camp. There, Ben is casually bathing in the river, completely carefree, as if he is certain that Sasha has no chance of escaping. Sasha has only one goal for coming here, Ben's boat. She tries to reach it by swimming underwater, but this too turns out to be one of Ben's traps. Under the boat, there is a snare, and her leg gets caught in it. Ben approaches Sasha, but at that moment, she quickly pulls out the pepper spray from her bag and sprays it directly into his eyes. Ben starts screaming in pain. Sasha immediately moves toward Ben's crossbow, but by then, he has already washed his eyes. He pulls the chain attached to the trap, stopping Sasha, and grabs the crossbow himself. Now Ben orders Sasha to throw away the pepper spray, and she has no choice but to obey. Ben frees her leg from the trap and says, "I asked you before, do you want the easy route or the hard one? You chose the hard path. If you had chosen the easy one, you would have reached your destination long ago." Then he tells her, "The cannibal tribes here. I follow their traditions. Their belief is that the soul of the person you kill lives inside you forever. I've killed many people, but I never found a strong soul. But today, I found you." Sasha spends the entire night soaked in the rain. The next day, Ben ties her hands, places her on the boat, and takes her to another location. He tells Sasha that he saw her name in the ranger's register, and that's how he learned that she was obsessed with mountain climbing and had lost her husband on Troll Wall. Sasha replies that it was just an accident. Ben then shoves her into the water and drags her into a cave, where the dead bodies of the same family from the phone recording are lying. In reality, this man is completely sick in the head. He kills people, dries their skin, and sells it. He explains to Sasha that according to the tribe's belief, the soul of the person does not become trapped until you eat their heart. He says that he has never completed this ritual before, but now he finally will. Then, Ben removes his fake teeth and reveals his real ones, sharpened into animal-like fangs. He had filed them down himself as part of the tribe's ritual. In fact, Ben first came to this place with his mother, and his very first victim was his own mother. When Ben comes too close to Sasha, she suddenly bites his ear with her teeth. In that very moment, she jumps into the water. Ben immediately jumps in after her and wraps his chain around Sasha so she cannot escape. But the water current is extremely strong, and both of them are swept over a waterfall. Ben crashes against a rock and gets knocked unconscious. After that, both of them wash up on the shore. There, Sasha is just about to smash Ben with a rock when he suddenly regains consciousness and fights back. He could have killed her right then and there, but he didn't want the game to end so easily, and that becomes his biggest mistake. Sasha grabs a rock and smashes it onto his leg with such force that the bone breaks. After that, both of them collapse there in complete exhaustion. Night falls, and Sasha finally begins speaking from her heart. She admits that even to this day, she still doesn't know whether Tommy was alive or already dead when she let go of the rope. That question still eats her alive from the inside. She blames herself for Tommy's death because Tommy had wanted to turn back long before, but Sasha's obsession with climbing Troll Wall kept them there. That day, fate truly wasn't on his side, and he lost his life. Both of them remain lying there, completely broken and exhausted, as the night slowly passes. As soon as morning comes, Sasha tells Ben that if they want to get out of there, he will have to climb the cliff with her. In reality, both of them are tied together, so Sasha cannot leave alone. Meanwhile, Ben is completely broken now. His leg is badly injured, and he knows that in this condition, he can no longer overpower Sasha. He also realizes that if he kills her, he won't survive either. So, he agrees to make a deal and says, "If you get me to the top, I'll let you leave alive." Sasha straps him into her harness and begins climbing the cliff. But trusting Ben was impossible for her. So secretly, she starts tampering with the hook. Suddenly, Ben, who is tied to the other end of the rope, yanks it hard, almost pulling her down. Sasha quickly tells him that she was only checking the rope, and then continues climbing upward. Now Sasha reaches the exact kind of moment she once faced on Troll Wall. She stops there, ties Ben's rope to a piece of wood, and quietly loosens her own harness. Ben realizes that something is wrong and violently pulls on the rope, trying to drag her down. But because Sasha had loosened her harness, Ben ends up falling down along with the rope himself, and that is where he finally meets his end. But even now, Sasha is far from safe. The part of the cliff she is standing on has no way back down, which means the only option left is to keep climbing upward. She has no harness now, and no support system. One single mistake would mean certain death. She reaches the most dangerous section, where her body ends up hanging in midair. But by focusing all her courage and concentration, she somehow manages to cross it and finally reaches the top. From there, she makes her way to the road, where a passing vehicle takes her to the ranger's office. She tells the ranger everything about Ben's cave and says that the evidence of every person who disappeared from this place will be found there. After that, Sasha walks to the edge of the ocean carrying Tommy's lucky compass. She lets it drift away into the waves. It was her way of saying that she was finally ready to move forward. She had finally accepted that what happened that night was nothing more than a tragic accident, and that it was not her fault. And with that, today's story comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed this movie.